Hi guys. It's your friendly neighborhood Celeste right here to greet you. I'm just trying to find like a place to balance you. And don't worry, it's not working at all. Yeah, so I have two very short stories that is anything? Nothing's going on outside at all. The lighting's a little less natural. Anyway, yeah. So wait. This might make it better. That makes it worse, but it's like brighter, so it's technically better. But you know what? I don't actually care. Imagine you guys use the Starbucks QR code right here and you actually do whatever it wants you to do. Imagine you actually do. Anyway, guys, I just want to tell you like two short stories that are a little bit crazy. Yeah, they're a little bit crazy, but I'm not gonna make it like super drawn out. I'm gonna make it like super straight to the point. Because I don't really care to like add in random like an excess of random like time wasting details. Like I don't really care at this moment. Like I'm gonna tell you in like kind of a short manner. First story. Wait, that one's kind of too much. Okay, we're gonna start with the one that's like easier to tell you guys, okay? Because these are genuinely real stories, obviously, but the point is like it makes it like harder to tell it. So I'm like, if I tell you the first one, it's gonna be easier to tell you the second story. These are both like not creepy stories, they're just weird stories. I mean, one was like a near-death experience technically, like the second story that I'm gonna tell you. Which is why it's like harder to say, so I'm just gonna say the first story. Already? Yeah, so and they're like in the opposite order in which they happened. Like technically the second story like happened first. It did, like in my timeline of my life. Me just like, what is that? What was that? Like your teacher who's judging you? You get called into the principal's office. I'm like it was funny. It was funny for like a second. Okay, we're already at 2 minutes 36. That's why I'm gonna like wrap this up and go faster. So first story. It's like barely a story, but it's like a fact. So, I worked at this place called Biogenetics Laboratory. And so then it was like an office job, okay? There's something in my eye. It hurts my eye. It hurts my eye. You know what? It does hurt my eye. Obviously. But, ow. Do you ever just have something like hurt your eye for no reason and you're like telling yourself it's fake even though it's real? But like my eye is genuinely like going through a metamorphosis. It's going to turn into a butterfly the longer we sit here. Like if we sit here for long enough, my eye will become a butterfly. And I'm gonna have one eye and one butterfly and you're gonna have to deal with it. You're gonna have to still be like, you know what? That's good enough. Yeah, so anyway, so I worked at a place called Biogenetics Laboratory. It was like an office job, cool. So then there was a guy who sat like right next to me. There were a lot of people around me. Like everybody's desks were like 6 feet to like 4 feet away, right? The person directly to my side, whatever. We all moved around a lot, so it could have been either side. Like I don't remember because we all got like moved around, right? Everybody had every seat at some point. And then we would always talk to the people next to us. But a lot of the people were currently in prison or like getting out of prison or they had been in prison in the past because, not me, but like other people, you know, with respect to them and their own journeys, like I don't mean any disrespect to them, but it's true that like almost everybody who worked there at the time was currently getting out of prison or had already been in prison at some point in time. Most of them, they were all just like drug possession stuff like that, like petty stuff like that, right? Well, some of them were like more serious, like drug like charges. I said in quotes, but like but you know what I'm saying. Like most of them had like some form of like a drug I can't talk. I said possession charge or whatever. Anyway, and all of them were like older. They were like, some people were like in their late 20s. So I was probably like, I think for a minute there, I might have been like the youngest there. And then we had some like 18-year-olds that joined the team like afterwards, you know. I don't know if I was ever the youngest or I was like the second to youngest when I started, whatever. And that, something like that. It was like those kind of vibes. Some people were like 60, 70. Some people were late 20s, early 30s, okay? Some of them were nice, some of them were not nice, but that's not really the point of the story. The point is, one person who sat like right next to me, like, anyway, we would all have like long conversations. Like, we would end up talking, like, everybody would end up talking, whoever is next to you, we would talk for like 6 hours, okay? Like, everybody. So we would have like super deep conversations, super long conversations. People would be like, oh, like, here's what I did. Like, it was very like story of my life type of stuff, right? Like, if you're sitting next to people who have like complicated, crazy lives, at some point they're going to start telling you like every detail of their lives, like every crazy thing that happened in their lives. Anyway, so this guy, obviously I'm not saying people's names, but this guy told me like that he had been in prison with Jeffrey Dahmer. Like, actually, they were at the same prison at the same time. Obviously, both there for very, very different things. Because I think at that point, this guy was there for, like, a drug possession thing, but you know what I'm saying. So I was like, that's crazy. It was crazy to hear that, but from everything he was saying, it just sounded like it was genuinely true. So, honestly, I believe him, but I understand people are obviously up to their discretion whether they would believe somebody's like story. But, you know, to me, I was like, that genuinely does sound true. So either he was a very good liar or he just genuinely was like telling a true story. Anyway, obviously I'm not going to get into that, or I mean, obviously that's like a serial killer. Like, that's not like, it's not the kind of YouTube channel where I'm going to like get into like all of that, obviously. And it's also, I'm very, like, the type of person who, like, one person's story is, like, their story. Like, I'm never gonna, like, especially if somebody has, like, life trauma and stuff, like, I'm never gonna, like, exploit that for views or for content. Like, I'm only telling, like, the, like, moment of shock for me. Like, the only purpose of me, like, telling you guys is because in my mind, I was like, that's really insane. And I felt like it was almost like an indicator that I had been at like a super dense vibration at one point in time. Like, I mean, obviously, like, people work on themselves and grow, and they're at a lighter vibration at various points in time. So I don't think he was obviously at like a super dense vibration at that point in time when he was like talking about it. But I mean that, like, obviously at one point in time he had been at like a dense enough vibration to be in the same facility at the same time as Jeffrey Dahmer. And so for that reason, it was kind of like, I've been at a dense enough vibration. You know how it's like everyone knows everyone through like 7 people say? And then I was like, that's kind of crazy to like have only one person between me and Jeffrey Dahmer, even though I was born in 2002. And then I don't know when Jeffrey Dahmer died, like the 90s. So, yeah, it was crazy. But anyway, more recently, I told, like, just a couple people at work, where I work now at Chick-fil-A, that I had met somebody before who, like, knew Jeffrey Dahmer, and this guy was like, that's impossible, he died in the 80s. First of all, I was born in 2002, like, it's actually not impossible. Like, I never said the age of the other person. You know what I'm saying? It's not impossible, even if he had died in the 80s, it's not actually impossible to be born in 2002, meet somebody who had ever met somebody who died in the 80s. Like, that's actually not impossible. That's not completely impossible. Oh, I was like, okay. I was like, you don't have to believe me. Like, I literally didn't even say it like, you have to believe me. I was like, you know, like, that would be like if through me you were willing to take somebody else's word if you believed it. But I do believe that. But impossible due to like amount of years between everybody's ages for all of those people to like be alive at some point in time where it's like one person can meet like both people. Like, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I never said I directly met Jeffrey Dahmer. I would never say that because it's obviously like not okay. I'm telling a true story, but that would obviously be like fake if somebody born in 2002 wanted to tell you they met Jeffrey Dahmer. But that's not what I said. That's not what I said. All I said was that at one point in my life, I met somebody who had also personally met Jeffrey Dahmer and like was in prison with him at the same time. That's not like a fake story just because I was born in 2002. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's not immediately a fake story just because I was born in 2002. And Jeffrey Dahmer died in like what, the 80s or 90s? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't care. Like, you think I would want to like go out of my way to like meet a serial killer? I never did. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if I wanted to make up a lie, you'd think I would make up like a crazier lie and then use it for clout, actually, which I'm not. I'm just saying my short experience of like having met someone personally, gotten to know someone, because literally we would talk for like 6 hours when we were all together at like our desks, you know what I'm saying? Like, everyone would talk about personal stuff because a lot of these people had gone to prison, so it's like, oh, so like what'd you go for? They're like, actually, here's my whole life story so you can understand why I ended up in the position that I did. That's not that weird of a story. Anyway, that's the first story. We're at like 11 minutes 39 seconds. That was not that fast for me to tell you. I thought it would be faster. Wow, my voice just cracked right there. What am I doing with my life? Making YouTube videos, and I wanted to. Like, I don't know. My aura is super weird. My aura is super weird right now. It's just the vibe that I'm at, dude. I'm literally upgrading. So like, how are you gonna tell me my aura is awful and then like, you know, not see the potential of me upgrading in the future? Like, I'm at bedrock. Like, clearly I'm gonna upgrade. There's nowhere else to go. You can't fall out of the map. You can't even mine through bedrock, dude. You can't even mine through bedrock. You know? Unless you're in creative mode. Clearly I'm not in creative mode right now. Like, clearly I wouldn't have these stories if I were in creative mode right now, dude. Anyway, second story, which is a longer story. Not really, but like more steps to the story because I was more like involved in the story. Why is my life like a little crazy? I wouldn't say it's like the craziest, but I'd say it's like crazy enough that like I wouldn't mind telling you the story. But that I was like, this one I'm gonna take like more of a minute to tell. Because I wanted to hide behind the first story before I tell you like a story where I didn't even want to be a part of this second story. It was like against my will partially, like literally. Okay, so basically, someone who like used to be my best friend, but we're not like friends anymore. She I was hanging out at her house, right? I was hanging out at her house. I had been there for like a week, but like I didn't have any money. She lived far away. Like, I don't think I even had like a job at this time, or I was like really broke. So it was like kind of crazy. Like, I wanted to like go home because I'd been there for like a week. Everything was normal at first, right? And then she was like, okay, I'll give you a ride home, but if I'm gonna give you a ride home, we have to stop at this party first. Okay? I was like, I don't want to go to the party because like I had heard her ex was gonna be there, my ex, like someone who I just like hung out with a little bit, like not even someone who I like knew that well or who knew me that well, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know when you have like not a relationship, but like someone who you like hang out with at parties only. It was like that vibe. It wasn't like a like relationship. It was like a like that's someone who you like make out with when you're drunk and that's the only time, right? Like it wasn't like a relationship, but it was like if I go to a party and you're also there, like yeah, I'm gonna kiss you at some point, but it doesn't mean that like I'm dating you. Does that make sense? I don't know. If you've ever had one of those, you get what I mean. but it wasn't like a like actual relationship in any way. That was it. So but then this was like after he and I like he and I only hung out like one time that wasn't literally at a party. So you know what I'm saying? It wasn't like a like, and we would barely text. Like he would text me like good morning and I'd be like good morning, and that was it. You know what I'm saying? So it was like that. It was like that. But like, I don't know, he was cool. It wasn't like bad vibes. It was like fine, normal vibes, right? Anyway. Sorry, I got distracted. Like one of my hairs was like on my pillowcase, so I was distracted. I took it off. I don't know. Like I just dropped my chapstick and that's really important. That's way more important than the story. 1 second. Okay. Anyway. Yeah, anyway, so I had heard that like her ex and my like party ex, what do you call it? Not in like a bad way. Like he's a cool person, but like not like that, you know? Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, yeah. Anyway, so I was like, I don't want to go there because like, why? Like, first of all, why would I want to? Second, she like smoked weed, so this was like her like dealer's party. So I was like, I definitely don't want to go there. Like, that doesn't make any sense. So I was like, where is the party then? Because she already lived like 45 minutes from my house, but she wanted to go to the party, then take me home. So I was like, where is the party? She's like, oh yeah, in the middle of the woods, an hour away. And this was like an hour out of the way of like her taking me home. So I was like, there's no way I want to go there. But she was like, if I'm going to take you home, like it was like that kind of vibe. Like it was kind of like you have to be fine with it. And I was like, well, I definitely don't have money for like an Uber. So I guess I'm forced to go. It was that kind of vibe. Not like held at gunpoint. Yet? Question mark? Yeah. It was a vibe. Not really. Not at all. It was a vibe you would throw in the trash. It was crazy. It was crazy. It was crazy. Yeah, I don't know. It was a vibe. Not really. It was a vibe you would throw in the trash. Like I said again. I just say that when I'm bored, but it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean it was actually like a good vibe. You know? So, you want to know what happened next? We like go, like we drive. She drives. I don't drive, but she drives and I'm in her car. We drive over to the neighborhood where the party is. And it's like, you know, progressively into like this haunted wilderness where like we both feel like we're in a serial killer like film, right? Like we both feel like we're like about to die. We're like, why? Like, why is this terrifying kind of vibe? We start seeing people who look like they're like crackheads or something, like no disrespect, but like they look like zombies and they're like crawling everywhere and weird and like it was like getting creepy and scary. But we didn't stop driving. We continued to drive towards the party and I was still like, honestly, I don't want to be here. Like I hope that we go in and immediately leave. And she was like, yeah, like I just want to say hi to everybody and then I want to leave. So I was like, fine. Like, I guess if that's the vibe, you can go in, say hi to everybody, and then leave. Like, guys, have boundaries, but also have money. Okay? If you can take any two things from this video, have boundaries to say no, have money to escape. So you don't have to have, like, near-death experiences, you know? Have boundaries to say no, have money to escape, because you still have to be able to, like, get out of there. If you can't get an Uber, and you're hanging out with somebody who's already like almost an hour from your house, but then you go and they're like, in order to give you a ride home, like we have to go to this party first, but that's gonna make you like 2 hours away for the Uber if you had to get one and you don't have like money. Have money to escape, but like I'm not saying that like good situations don't exist in the world. I'm saying have money to escape and also or have a car, whatever. But you know what I'm saying? Like, have, like, don't just be like, I know that I'm in good company. I guess at any point. I don't know, dude. I don't know. Don't ever be like, oh, I know for sure that I'm in good company, so I'm gonna rely on these people. That's the moral of the story. That's the moral of the story, okay? That's the moral of the story. Also, if you're at a dense fight, for the other story, I don't know, like, there's not really a moral there. It's just, like, fun fact. I don't know. Fun fact, that's, like, what the vibes were at that job. And the people were nice at that job, but, you know. Anyway, back to where we're at the story. Yeah, so I didn't know she didn't, like, text anyone that we were, like, on our way. You know, so we find the address, we're like, wow, this is in the middle of nowhere, like, wow, this is crazy, somebody could definitely die out here, and just, like, the authorities would never know where to find them, you know. And then, basically, my friend's, like, weed dealer, I didn't know that person, so I didn't know that he also, like, dealt, like, worse stuff. I didn't know any of that. I didn't know this person. So I assumed this is one of my friend's friends, so it's not gonna be, like, bad or crazy. I was like, it's not gonna be, like, significantly worse than I think it is. You know? I guess the moral of the story is, like, your friends have worse friends that you don't know about, have money to, like, leave situations, you know, like, okay. Escape while you can, get out. I don't know. So yeah, we were like, oh, this feels like a horror movie. I wonder why. Basically, we pull into, like, the parking spot. We were just chilling for a second. And then, like, I don't know the gender of the person, but the, person who had, like, dealt, like, the weed to my friend, whatever, like, the person whose party it was, there wasn't a house there. It was, like, land, like, infinite trees, and, like, a tent, or, like, 2 tents, and infinite trees. Then this person comes over, and I don't know the gender, so if I say the wrong one, I didn't mean to at any point, but then this person's like, you guys should have texted before you got here because I almost shot you. And I was like, you almost did. They were like, yeah, I was gonna shoot you. So we were like, oh, like, that's weird. What were you gonna shoot us with? And they were like, oh, my new gun. It's an AR-15. I was like, I don't know about, like, guns like that. I don't know anything about that, but I know that that's not good, obviously. Never what you want to hear when you're meeting a bunch of new people. So you can imagine what the party vibes were. These people were, like, in their 30s, and I was, like, 19. My friend was, like, 20. All these people were, like, in their 30s, and, like, very drunk. It was weird, obviously. Don't get shot, people. Don't go to weird parties that you never wanted to go to, but you had to in order to, like, go home. Your friends have worse friends who have worse friends who have weapons, apparently. Yeah. Not the most fun. The first story is obviously more for I don't know if I would say more fun, because, like, obviously, like, really dense energy, like, none of it's fun, but, like, more of, like, a fun fact. Not really, but, like, more of a fun fact than, like, hey, there's one time, like, I almost died, like, you know what I mean? Like, that's not, like, that fun. Yeah, anyway, so I was like, okay, can't wait to get out of here, and you know what my friend decided to do instead? She immediately gets drunk. She just immediately gets drunk. So then I have to, like, she and I are just sitting there waiting for her to, like, be sober before she can drive. So we wait, I don't know, it's probably like hours. Hours and hours later. Meanwhile, the entire party is boring. None of these people are interesting. They're all just crazy. They're all just crazy. And none of them are fun or interesting, so I'm just ignoring everybody, as one does. You know? Then finally she's sober enough to drive. A few hours later. Maybe not enough hours, but enough hours to not be shot with an AR-15. You know? Any amount of hours is enough hours for that, okay? But she wasn't like too drunk to like drive and have us survive, obviously. And obviously I'm saying never drink and drive, but also never be shot with an AR-15. So if you're weighing your options and you know that this person's fine enough to drive and you're trying to like escape. It's like if it's a zombie apocalypse, never drink and drive, but also don't get bitten by zombies. Like, weigh your options, okay? Weigh your options. I don't even know. I don't know. That's the advice. I don't know for all of it. That's the advice. Never leave your house. That's the advice. Never leave your house, okay? Yeah, so then finally we're like leaving, she's pulling out of the parking spot, we're like on our way. She runs over a TV. If that doesn't show you how ghetto this place was. Reverse, like put the car in reverse, run over a TV immediately. And that was like the only object. Like at the entire party there was like, you know what I'm saying? Like the tent, the AR-15, the alcohol, and this TV that we ran over. That was the entire thing. And then finally I like made it home safely. And I was like, fine, I'm never leaving my house again, because what was that? Anyway, that's literally all for the video. I don't even know, guys. I have no idea. Never leave your house. Anything can happen. Your friends are crazier than you think they are. Your friends have worse friends than you think they do. Not that they have to be like, nope. I'm trying to think of something nice to say. I'm not saying these people don't have good qualities. I'm just saying like they're definitely into some darker stuff that I would not be in the environment of and will not be in the environment of. Like, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't mean that they don't have good qualities too. But yeah, make sure that you trust people, and then even when you trust them, make sure that you know not to trust them too much, I guess. I don't know what you can take away from this, but if you can take anything away from it, then this story is yours now, not mine. I love you. Bye.